Well, we are well into December. You know what that means. You gotta drink some milk and onion for the Grinch. Delicious. Hi, welcome to Film Stash. My name is Douglas Campbell. So, Jim Carrey's Grinch turns 25 years old this year. So, to celebrate, I'm hunting down that green bastard, and I am covering all three film adaptations of The Grinch story. Shout out to Cheese0134 for the Christmas recommendation. I was going to cover Jim Carrey's Grinch. After seeing that recommendation, I'm like, why have just one when you can have all three? And no, I'm not covering specials like Halloween is Grinch Night, The Mean One, or How the Grinch Stole Bitches. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. So don't even think about typing it in the comments. I see you doing it. Stop it. Now, if you've been living on Mount Crumpet and somehow have never heard of the Grinch story, I'm gonna break it down real quick. So the Grinch follows this green grouch who lives on a mountain all by himself, and he is so annoyed with his neighbor's Christmas antics that he decides to straight up steal Christmas from them. The idea came to Theodore Geisel, aka Dr. Seuss, during 1956 during kind of a rough period in his life. His wife was undergoing some serious medical conditions. It was around the holiday season. The Christmas commercials and commercialism was like all around him. He was just starting to get really annoyed with Christmas. It felt like the message of the holidays were getting lost. Something had gone wrong with Christmas, I realized, or more likely with me. So I wrote the story about my sour friend, the Grinch, to see if I could rediscover something about Christmas that obviously I'd lost. Yeah, I feel you, fam. Geisel essentially was the Grinch. And with his holiday doubts, he channeled all that, and within a few weeks, wrote the book that we all know and love. And within 1957, it was unleashed onto the world. And it has become a staple within the holidays, within children's literature, and naturally the property spawned a bunch of merchandise that basically was the reason that he wrote the book in the first place. Now that we know the Grinch's literary origin, let's break down the scoreboard. Doug? Thanks, Doug. So we're going to be scoring each adaptation of The Grinch based off of the Holiday Hooer board. The Holiday Skewer board. We will judge it off of 4 categories: the Grinch himself, the Seussian design, the spirit of Christmas, and the song. You know the song. And each of these will be graded on a scale of 1 out of 4 hearts, totaling up to 16 hearts. It's flawless, it's a scientific system, don't question it, it's always right. If you do question it, you're a flat earther, just plain and simple. Alright, and back to you, Doug. Thanks, Doug. Alright, so before we dive deeper into the Grinch, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Any help you could give my channel, I would greatly appreciate, and if you're already subscribed to me, thank you so very much. So Dr. Seuss and Chuck Jones, they worked together previously under the animation department during World War II. And it was years later that Jones approached Dr. Seuss about turning his Grinch story into an animated holiday special. And so after 14 months and $300,000, we got the animated Grinch special. Now, this is a special I've seen multiple times over the years. My dad first introduced me to this, and it is still an incredibly cute special. It is verbatim the book. If you can't read, don't worry, like the special has you covered. It's excellently narrated and performed by Boris Karloff, Frankenstein. The hand-drawn animation is quite cute, a lot of effort put into it, which is still really cool to see if you're like a big animation fan. It's creative, it's cutesy, sometimes it's terrifying. Like, if you see the faces that the Grinch makes during this thing, it's like, Jesus Christ. What I love about this story is that it really just feels like Dr. Seuss. A few things did stick out to me watching this again for the first time in at least 10 years. Reading the book and seeing the special again, it escaped me that he's had beef with the Who's for at least 53 years. That's right, 53 years. I knew the Grinch wasn't gonna be a kid, but just how old is this guy, man? You didn't mean to tell me this whole time my cutesy merchandise of the Grinch is of a green Karen? I've had a green Karen in my living room. Carbon dating him to being at least 60, that's fucking weird, dude. Honestly, Jim Carrey could play him today and it would be lore accurate. So to kind of go a little bit deeper into the special, 2 of the staples that it sort of expanded on from the book. It's the unique way that he steals presents, but then also the Grinch song, sung by Tony the Tiger. The biggest strength of this thing for sticking so closely to the book is that it is short, sweet, and to the point, running under half an hour. Doug! Thanks, Doug. Alright, so we are looking at the 1966 Grinch. So if we are looking at the Grinch himself as a whole, this is the special that made that bold decision to turn the Grinch green. He was originally just a white Yeti creature, but now, thanks to Dr. Seuss, thanks to Chuck Jones, he is green. He will always be green, forever and ever. Green is good. That gets a 4 out of 4 on the hard scale. Also, not to mention, this Grinch, with that old school hand-drawn animation, he looks so weird. He really set the tone for just how nasty the Grinch can look. Next up, we have Seussian design. Now, the design of Whoville, the design of the Grinch, the Who's, Max, just everything within the world of Dr. Seuss. It is just practically the book. It is exactly the drawings, but given some life. And while some things have challenged it over time, I definitely think that this special, it did kind of lay the groundwork to a degree for what future adaptations would do with Dr. Seuss. So I would give this a 4 out of 4 on the heart scale. Spirit of Christmas. Now, whenever I see it and I see the Grinch kind of come to terms with Christmas and what the meaning is, it's a good message. It teaches us that the consumerism that we deal with every single Christmas, it's not all it's meant to be. That's not what Christmas is. It's a good message. It's wholesome. So a 4 out of 4 as well. And last but not least, we have the song. Now, the Grinch song, it's a classic. This special started it. And getting Dr. Seuss to kind of come in and just sort of really lay down the law for just how nasty this creature is that's supposed to be himself of all things. It's instantly iconic. I've sung it for choir. You hear this every year on the radio. I would also give this a 4 out of 4 hearts, which would bring it to a perfect 16 out of 16 hearts. This special, it is a quintessential Dr. Seuss classic. Back to you, Doug. Curse it, Whoville! In the early 90s, a few years after Dr. Seuss's death, his widow, Aubrey Giesel, she started licensing out his work. If you wanted those Grinch rights, though, you had to go through some crazy stipulations. There is a ton of production history with this movie, but if you want a deeper dive into this particular Grinch movie, there's a wonderful channel called Hats Off Entertainment with Joe Ramone. Highly would recommend checking him out. After filming from September 1999 to early 2000 and spending about $123 million, which today would equal about $240 million, the film got a wide release on November 17th, 2000. Just in time for the holidays. Now, while I've seen the Grinch holiday special multiple times over the years, this is a movie that I really have not seen in years. I've seen clips on YouTube, I've watched a couple of clips during the holidays, but after visiting it again, this movie is weird. And so to stretch out the simple story, they expanded the Grinch's origin, they expanded the Who's of what they did, they gave Cindy Lou Who a larger role, essentially giving her Dr. Seuss's real life arc, and they let Jim Carrey improvise as if he were possessed by Ace Ventura. It's just... The expanded ideas themselves, they are not too bad, but there's just so much of this movie that does not gel together. It's actively the tones of all these different ideas are just fighting amongst each other. Carrey's chaotic comedy and the heart of the film, which is Cindy Lou Who, it doesn't blend well together. Where are you, Christmas? It's so jarring. The end result, whether you like it or not, you gotta admit, it just feels like one long shitpost. Carrey's Grinch is unlikable. He is surrounded by unlikable characters, and somehow those characters are so unlikable that he becomes likable. And because of just how jarring the movie is, it somehow wraps itself back around to being entertaining. I've heard some of the jokes for this movie, but some of them caught me off guard. It's because I'm green, isn't it? These are wild for a kid's movie, and I think where the movie struggles the most, it's the ending. The music is swelling. The camera angles are beautiful. Weirdly, you have God confronting the Grinch in a shot. And you're getting this arc where he is finally learning to accept love and Christmas within his heart. And the whole time, like, Jim Carrey's Grinch is acting like such a dick. I don't know if it was Jim Carrey or whatever was possessing Jim Carrey at the moment, but he was actively resisting the emotional climax and completely undermining what was supposed to be happening. You can't tell me that you're crying at this moment. Because of just how tonally inconsistent this movie is, I've enjoyed it so much more now as an adult than when I did as a kid. Like, there's just so much to unpack with this thing. Doug? Thank you, Doug. Now, this one is like a pretty big departure from what we know of the Grinch. It reinforces a lot of what we know about the Grinch, but then Jim Carrey is like such a wild card with this role that it kind of like shakes everything up about it. But for some people, it's still a holiday classic. Jim Carrey's Grinch. The fact that it is a practical suit, the fact that it was like made of tons and tons of yak hair, and Jim Carrey had to get like CIA training just to like go through with it. I mean, I don't know if you had to go that far, Jim. The fact that like he is still going crazy at it. Jim Carrey's Grinch made the Grinch certified weirdo. He radically changed the Grinch forever. You see all these clips of Universal, that's inspired by Jim Carrey. Now, truthfully, I think at times he goes maybe a little too far for the story, but like most of the clips of him are so funny, and it's like really the saving grace of like this shit show of a movie. I think 3 is too high. I would probably give him 2 out of 4 hearts. The design of the costume's amazing, and some of the stuff that he does is funny, but like when it comes to the latter half, as I mentioned before, it just comes into conflict so much with what you're even making the film about. Seussian design. So if Jim Carrey wasn't starring in this movie, The Grinch, the biggest star of this movie, it would be the practical sets and the makeup and the costuming. This film is amazing. With the 60s one, it brought like the Dr. Seuss world to life. But this, it actually takes it out of the 2 dimension and brings it to the 3rd dimension. That was the one thing I was always in awe about. The thought put into everything. I would give it a perfect 4 out of 4 on the skewer board. Cinema. We have the spirit of Christmas. It's a bit conflicted because the Who's are so unlikable, and the fact that the Grinch is so unlikable. And then whenever you do get to that final arc for the Grinch, that final moment, we go through all this, and for what? It's for nothing. He's still a jackass. Just he likes Christmas now. 2 out of 4. And last but not least, the song. This film, it did make that decision to include the song from the 60s, which has become a classic. And I like that they have made it officially a staple. They did take the song, and they didn't just make it straight from the special. They incorporated to be a bit more grimy and slimy. It pays homage quite nicely in a way that makes it feel within this bizarro world of Dr. Seuss. Weirdly enough, I would give it a perfect 4 out of 4. I would give it a 12 out of 16. You can kind of start to see the cracks by like expanding this pretty simple story. All right, back to you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. It is just so bizarre that a major studio released this thing. Like, I would probably realistically give it a 6 out of 10. Now, the 2000 Grinch film, it was a massive hit, but it was a few years later in 2003 with the financial disaster of Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat that Audrey Giesel decided no more live action movies. Any Dr. Seuss adaptation, it is strictly going to animation. No ifs, ands, or buts. So the Grinch property lay dormant for a little bit, and it wasn't until 2013 that Illumination, they started developing some ideas for a new feature-length Grinch movie. And so, after gathering the vocal talent of Benedict Cumberbatch, Rashida Jones, Kenan Thompson, and others, on November 9th, 2018, they released the latest adaptation of The Grinch, just in time for the holidays. Now, I definitely think that animation was the right step for Dr. Seuss and his properties to go to. What you can do with the world of Dr. Seuss. It is like so much more expressive and creative within animation. However, Illumination style, Illumination, like their business model is to produce really cheap animated movies. And I mean, you can't really fault their business. I mean, like, look at the box office of these movies. Wow. The animation, like, it's pretty serviceable, but they made this really weird decision to have a lot of the movie take place during the day. And I think with the designs that they had for all of these characters, it's like they overexposed it. It just makes it look really cheap, which is weird because, you know, it's animation. You can make it look however you want. The scenes, it looked like someone actively turned my brightness on my TV all the way up. I checked. It wasn't. It just looked really bad. The designs, like, certainly didn't help it, but it looked a little better, like, during a lot of the night scenes. And while we're talking about the designs, all of them are very Despicable Me. Like, who are we kidding? This is an unofficial Despicable Me movie. It's even down to, like, the Grinch having cutesy sidekicks, a lot of the characters looking very similar. The Grinch is not really a Grinch, like he's more just like Gru. Like, this is just Despicable Me. He's just a chill guy with a dog. To reach feature length, this adaptation, they pulled a lot of the same tricks that the 2000 Grinch movie has done. Explore the Grinch backstory, again. Expand Cindy Lou Who, again. Use literally the same gag, again. Like, his backstory here is basically the Jim Carrey backstory, minus like a couple of other things. It's basically the same backstory.
What was also exciting was, well, maybe we can touch on his past a little bit, which hasn't been done before.
Sure, Scott. Keep telling yourself that. Like, Cindy's story, I think it's very cute, but also it's very unnecessary. It just wastes a lot of time. It doesn't add a whole lot. It's basically like a puzzle piece that was thrown across the room, and you have to dig like through all of your crap just to find that puzzle piece. And you do put it together and it makes the complete image, but that journey to get to that point, it just doesn't feel as satisfying. And then on top of that, like, you have to follow Benedict Cumberbatch through most of the movie. Like, he doesn't really do a whole lot either. And it doesn't help that his voice, somehow, I think it's way more annoying than the Jim Carrey voice.
I need to get into character.
What are we doing? We're just gonna let Doug handle this. Doug? Thank you, Doug. So this was a film that I wasn't that crazy about. We are not talking about my feelings on this. That is for wusses. We are talking about science. The Grinch. This one, it changes the Grinch into just a little grouchy. They pretty much just make him Gru in the movie. If he had a voice to suit him, that would be fine. But Benedict Cumberbatch's like super nasally voice that he chose to give this character, it didn't fit. A 2 out of 4. Seussian design. This design of Whoville, it's serviceable. What I mentioned with the Grinch, I think the problem is that, like, because they made this really weird decision to make everything super bright, it just makes it look cheap. Even though the buildings are topsy-turvy, it just looks like it's another section of the Despicable Me universe. 2 out of 4. Spirit of Christmas. Despite the stories being way too fragmented, that don't really work on their own, and then together they just feel kind of clunky, it does convey a pretty positive message on the spirit of Christmas. I kind of wish they dug a bit more into that. Ultimately, what saves this from being like a 2 or lower, I think they nailed that ending. They make it the choice of the Who's whether they want to accept the Grinch or not. Kind of brought home the spirit of Christmas, even though they probably could have built it up better. 3 out of 4. It's well done. The song. Talking about like all the Despicable Me-isms that Illumination just forced on the Grinch, this is by far the worst offender. This song, it's just the Despicable Me song. You have the singing child chorus, kind of light but darker. It's not a good modern rendition of it. 1 out of 4, which brings it to a final tally of 8 out of 16. Back to you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. And so, yeah, like, I mean, this movie, it's fine. Kids will like it, but just, I don't know, for me, I think I got to this like way too late. I'm sure if I were younger, I would have liked it, but I will give this a 4 out of 10. And so we've reached the end of the current status of Grinch movies that are officially released. I'm not counting those other ones. Like, even though, like, the quality got a little worse each time, I had quite a bit of a fun time visiting these movies again. If I were to rank them, it would be 66, 2000, 2018. But yeah, I had a great time. I definitely think it's really cool that people still care about Dr. Seuss and his work. What do you think of The Grinch? Comment below your favorite Grinch adaptation. That's all the time we have for today here on Film Stash. My name is Douglas Campbell, and if you excuse me, I gotta add to the stash.